Straight ahead, mass firings. The Trump administration says it's dramatically reducing the size of the federal government. We speak with two employees who lost their jobs. And members of Congress discuss the billions of dollars in cuts being made by DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. School choice fight. The Texas House files its bill allowing tax dollars to be spent to send students to private school. We look at the pressure campaign being fought by supporters and opponents. And Democratic split when it comes to whether Congress should reimburse Texas billions of dollars for its efforts to secure the border. Texas Democrats on Capitol Hill and at the Texas Capitol feel very differently. Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Jack Fink. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics starts now. Hello and welcome to Eye on Politics. Glad our weather is finally warming up after an Arctic week. Things are certainly heating up politically. And we begin with the mass firings of federal government employees. An executive order signed by President Trump last Wednesday says it is the policy of my administration to dramatically reduce the size of the federal government while increasing its accountability to the American people. In a separate executive order earlier this month, he said there are more than 2.4 million people in the federal workforce, but that excludes Postal Service employees and active duty military. In fiscal year 2022, the federal government spent $300 billion on compensation for civilian employees, not including pensions. About 75,000 workers have now accepted a buyout offer to leave the federal government, and the president spoke about it last week.
It'll mean much lower inflation, lower interest rates, lower payments on mortgages, credit cards, car loans, and much higher stock markets. I think the stock market's going to be great. In other words, we will rapidly grow our economy by dramatically shrinking the federal government, that we have to do it.
We spoke with two federal employees in North Texas who were among those fired.
Count it 3, deep breath for me, okay?
Kara Bond has been battling breast cancer for 3 months and temporarily moved to North Texas for treatment and to be closer to her family. Then on Valentine's Day, she says she got an email that changed her life again.
It was my dream job.
The email was from the U.S. Forest Service and said she was fired. A probationary employee, Bond was an archaeologist and supervisor in Montana, a job she describes as her calling.
Just being able to protect the land and work with the tribes and work with all of the different artifacts in the different states and the land that they manage.
While she had worked there for nearly 2 years, she went full-time last year and was about to become a permanent employee.
I had 3 weeks left until I was done with that probationary period. This was a firing for political reasons, and to copy and paste this termination letter and email it out to thousands of employees. There's a code of federal regulations against that.
And being a physical scientist, that just
She is not alone.
So my immediate reaction was just kind of a state of shock.
Haley Densler, an employee at the EPA in Dallas, says she was fired on Valentine's Day as well.
I immediately called my supervisor, and she expressed that she had no clue why it was happening. She did not agree with it.
Densler, though, believes it was all a mistake.
So ironically, my probationary period had concluded 5 days prior. On February 9th, officially, I had received an updated HR file as well, stating that I was eligible for continued employment. And
she's hoping to be reinstated.
We're not flushing yet, but
for now, Kara Bond is considering her legal options and what to do about her health insurance.
You know, we'll lose my health care in 31 days from my date of hire. And so that's an additional stressor that I could not use right now.
Both women showed me they received good performance reviews. Employee unions have filed various lawsuits against the Trump administration. In addition to the firings, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, led by Elon Musk, says on its website that it's found an estimated $55 billion in savings from a combination of workforce reductions, fraud detection, contract lease cancellations and renegotiations, grant cancellations, and regulatory savings. We spoke with Republican North Texas Congressman Brandon Gill, who's a member of the House DOGE subcommittee.
we are running $2 trillion deficits every single year. Our country is flat out broke. We do not have the money to be wasting on either left-wing pet projects or on duplicative services or on waste, fraud, or abuse. And that's what we are going after. We are getting our country back to fiscal sanity, getting our country back on a track that is economically sustainable. So we are going to be seeing a lot of rationalization across the federal government, but this is what the people want. That's why President Trump is polling at a 53% approval rating. That's why Elon Musk and the DOGE movement are polling higher than President Biden did on his way out of the office, because the American people want to see fiscal sanity. They want to see common sense return to Washington, and that's what we're doing.
With regards to the federal employees, are you saying, do you believe that the federal government just has too many employees, that these agencies are bloated with people?
Well, I think that is certainly one of the problems. Another one is that we've had a difficult time getting taxpayer-funded federal employees back into the office after COVID. Many of them began working from home and won't even show up to work now. So that's something that we're going after as well. Listen, if our taxpayer dollars are going to fund anything, we need to know where it's going, to whom, to what entity, and we need to know that it's effective. And that's what we're trying to figure out right now.
Elon Musk said DOGE has a goal of cutting $1 trillion from the deficit. How much more do you believe needs to be trimmed? And isn't that really going to have to be Congress that's going to have to do this?
Well, so far, the DOGE movement has identified between $50 and $100 billion every single year in either wasteful or outright fraudulent payments, and that's across a variety of programs. And they've only just gotten started. Remember, President Trump has only been in office for about a month now, so this is still in its infancy. You know, the American taxpayers are sick of spending $2 million on transgender surgeries in Guatemala, or $50 million for DEI scholarships in Asia, or $500 million every single year to pay for left-wing media outlets that bash our most deeply held convictions routinely and run cover for Democrats. So there's a lot of waste that we can go after long before we touch any kind of entitlement program. And let me tell you, what we're doing with Medicaid, for instance, is not cutting benefits. We are, first of all, looking to make sure that the people getting benefits are actually entitled to them. We don't want our taxpayer dollars going to fund illegal aliens. We don't want our taxpayer dollars going to improper payments or fraudulent claims.
Democratic North Texas Congressman Mark Vesey said he's not sure about the savings DOGE has identified.
No one really knows if DOGE is telling the truth. DOGE will put out a statement saying, look at all this fraud that we found, but no one's had a chance to analyze that. No one should take Elon Musk at his word. We all want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. That's something that all of us want to do as we have a fiduciary obligation as members of Congress to do that. But this stuff needs to be scrutinized, and I just feel bad because, again, not only are my constituents going to be harmed, but there's going to be someone in some place like Parker County where I think Trump got 80% of the vote, and they are not going to be able to get services because of this madness and this chaos that is being created.
And coming up later, Texas Democrats are split over whether Congress should reimburse the state billions of dollars for securing the border. But next, new pressure campaigns to pass and reject school choice in Texas when Eye on Politics returns. Welcome back to Eye on Politics. The Texas House has now filed multiple education bills that will inject more than $9 billion of new money for public schools and another $1 billion in tax money for a school choice bill to send students to private school. It comes after the Texas Senate already passed its $1 billion bill for school choice. The House version of the bill is universal and open to everyone, but gives priority to low-income students and students with disabilities. It provides about $10,000 per student at an accredited private school and allows families to roll over unused funds from one year to the next. The House bill comes after a year of intense pressure from Governor Greg Abbott, who campaigned against Republicans in the House who voted against similar legislation 2 years ago, and he won. The pressure hasn't let up. The fight over school choice in Texas has attracted nationwide attention. President Trump posted on his Truth Social account recently, the Texas House must now pass school choice. And Texas Speaker Dustin Burrows responded, "We will." Then Elon Musk posted a response to the president on X. "I hope Dustin Burrows passes school choice in Texas to give kids a chance." And Speaker Burrows responded with an image and these words, "Happy Valentine's Day, Elon Musk." And then there was a war of words that erupted over school choice between two old political foes, Governor Greg Abbott and Democrat Beto O'Rourke. The former congressman posted on X, even Abbott admits it. Texas public schools will lose money thanks to this ridiculous voucher scheme. The governor responded, Robert Francis O'Rourke doesn't want low-income kids to have the same opportunities he had at private school. O'Rourke fired back. All right, you want to talk about low-income kids? You want to defund the public schools that these kids depend on and raise everyone's property taxes? Abbott shot back. All right, you want to talk about what Texans want? Definitely not you. You are a repeat loser in Texas. And O'Rourke closed it out by saying, I may have lost the election, but you have failed the children of Texas. Happy Valentine's Day. Senator Ted Cruz is also urging the Texas House to pass school choice. He recently sent a letter to Speaker Burrows saying, quote, do not be swayed by attempts to compromise or weaken this critical, life-altering legislation. For the first time last week, Speaker Burrows spoke publicly about the House passing school choice, and he did so first at an event in San Antonio with Governor Greg Abbott and the chairman of the House Public Education Committee.
And I'm proud to say the votes are there to do this in the Texas House.
And then he addressed the conservative think tank, the Texas Public Policy Foundation.
It will be the defining issue of this session. House Bill 3 is historic, and it provides what people have been asking for, real, meaningful opportunities. House Bill 3 delivers what Texas have been asking for, a true universal school choice program. And let me be clear, we have the votes to get it done. It includes $1 billion in education savings accounts with future growth tied to public education funding increases. Universal eligibility with priority for special needs students and low-income families. I believe we can fully fund public education while recognizing that one size does not fit all. Families deserve options. Schools deserve resources. One without the other leaves Texas short. Our moment has arrived, and we have the momentum on our side to get this done.
The Texas House Democratic Caucus is fighting school choice. To help sway public opinion, it has set up an interactive website, don'tdefundmyschool.com. The site estimates how much money school districts will lose if school choice passed and students leave for private schools. But the website does not disclose how it came to these estimates. We spoke with the vice chair of the House Democratic Caucus, State Representative Mihaela Plisa of Dallas.
Well, I think that the website is a wonderful tool for our constituents to go to and check to see how much money would be taken out of their community schools if a bill like this were to pass the state of Texas. We can go and look. I represent 3 different ISDs, Plano ISD, Frisco ISD, and Allen ISD. And if you go and put those ISD in that website, you will see the tens of millions of dollars that our ISDs would lose if students decide to come out of our school districts, right? And so I think it's a very powerful tool. I don't necessarily think the tool is for other members to use. I think this is a tool for their constituents to use and then contact their lawmakers and say, we are strong no on SB2 or any voucher scam that's coming out of the Texas legislature.
And how did you formulate those numbers? Because I was on the website, I looked up the various districts across North Texas, but there was no indication of how the number, how you came to those numbers. So how did you come to those numbers? How, you know what I mean?
So I wasn't the one that created the website. I wasn't in CAD making these websites, but I can tell you that we did work with our ISDs. We did work with different data that is available to make sure that when you put in your district, that it correlates to the numbers that are for each individual districts. So it's kind of like a tool that kind of sources other data that's out there on the internet and kind of generates it into one area, which is the website that you see.
And you're basically taking an estimate, if I hear you correctly, of how many students, if there's 100,000 students that's part of this program, which is what Republicans say, you're estimating based on the district how many students of those 100,000 would leave the district to go to a private school. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
The Texas House is also proposing increasing the amount of funding school districts receive, and 40% of that increase will go toward teacher pay raises. The Texas Senate has already proposed bumping teacher salaries too. The amount will depend on the number of students in a district. In the Senate plan, teachers in a district with more than 5,000 students will receive an extra $2,500 if they have 3 and 4 years of experience. Now, if they have 5 years or more experience, they will receive an extra $5,500. If the teachers are in a school district with 5,000 or fewer students, they'll receive a $5,000 raise if they have 3 and 4 years of experience. If the teachers have 5 or more years of experience, they will get an extra $10,000. And this is in addition to any pay increases that the teachers may receive from their own school districts. The Senate Education Committee approved the bill unanimously on Thursday and sent it to the full Senate, where it is expected to pass. Governor Abbott considers this an emergency item, meaning lawmakers can pass it right away. Coming up next, the split between Texas Democrats over whether Congress should pay back the state of Texas for its efforts to secure the border. When Eye on Politics comes right back. Texas Democrats are split and not on the same page regarding Governor Abbott's request that Congress reimburse the state $11.1 billion that it spent to secure the southern border. Democrats serving in Congress strongly oppose it, while Democrats in the Texas House we spoke with support the state's request.
Oh, it's ridiculous. With Elon Musk and Trump and DOGE, why in the world would they want to reimburse someone that's spent all of this money and has been virtually ineffective at doing anything to stop the flow of immigration coming across the border? Isn't DOGE about preventing waste and fraud? Why would you want to give $11 billion back to a guy that has been wasting money since what? When was that started? 2021, 2022? And we're still talking about the same old thing? It's a joke.
So you're a no, I take it, and when that legislation comes up?
I'm a hard no.
Well, I, once again, am 100% supporting Governor Abbott in his effort to make sure that Texas gets compensated for the $11 billion that we spent on border security. And I know that there are other House Democrats that feel the same way. I haven't had the opportunity to speak with our congressional members yet about this issue, but I deal with my state budget. I deal with making sure that my state is getting paid. And it is the responsibility of the federal government to protect our borders. And that is what I'm intent to do. And that's why I joined a joint statement with Representative Eddie Morales. He represents a border district. And we believe that, yes, the Trump administration, who campaigned on making sure that we are protecting our borders, that money comes back to Texas and that we are reinvesting that money into our border communities, because they have faced the brunt of all of these problems. And so we need to make sure that they have the investments that they need to make sure that their communities prosper. And so, yes, I'm fully supportive of this. And I know that there are other House members in the Texas House of Representatives that are Democrats that support it as well.
We reached out to Congressman VC along with Congresswoman Julie Johnson and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who also oppose Congress reimbursing the state, to see what reaction they have about Democratic state representatives who want Texas to get paid back. We have not heard back just yet. Republican lawmakers in both Austin and in Washington, D.C. strongly back the governor's request. President Trump recently imposed a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum. Sarah Jenkins explains who pays those taxes and why customers could see higher prices in this week's brief.
At the simplest level, tariffs are taxes placed on goods that are made in another country and imported into the country imposing the tariff. President Trump claimed that foreign countries pay those taxes. As part of his campaign, he vowed that tariffs would help raise, quote, trillions and trillions of dollars from foreign governments. But foreign companies aren't responsible for paying the tariffs in the U.S. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection collects tariffs from U.S. businesses and directly pays the tariffs on the imported goods to the federal government. Because American businesses are on the hook for paying the tariffs on imports, they have historically passed on some or all of those costs to you, the consumer. Tariff supporters argue that those increased costs can help protect manufacturers in the U.S.
And don't forget, you can watch all of our full interviews on our YouTube channel. Go to CBS Texas, like and subscribe. And that's all for Eye on Politics this Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening to you at CBS News Texas. I'll see you next week. And from all of us, have a great day.